Hey guys, welcome back to the channel McNallie Money, home of all things stock, investment, and personal finance related. Now for today's video, we've got a special guest for you. We're going to be joined by the CEO of Delta 9 Cannabis, John Arbuthnot. Now we've had him on the channel before. He was talking about preliminary Q2 numbers. Now the results actually came out this morning, so we're going to talk about earnings at this company. For those of you who are unaware, Delta 9 is a small cap player in the Canadian MJ space. We've covered them a couple times on the channel, and we're super excited to have John joining us today. Now, before we get into the video, you guys, please take a second to smash the like button. It's free to do, and it really does help get this content to other people like yourself who might find value. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, McNallie Money, feel free to do so. And let me know in the comment section below what you think of Delta 9, if you're currently holding any shares, and if you have any questions that you'd like John to answer next time he's on the channel. Now without further ado, you guys, let's get into today's video. Okay guys, so that's right. Today we're joined by none other than the CEO of Delta 9 Cannabis, John Arbuthnot. Now we've had John on the channel before. We wanted to get him back in front of you guys today as they just released Q2 earnings. So John, welcome back. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Right on. So we'll get right into it. Maybe for people who missed our last interview or the initial deep dive we've done on Delta 9, can you give a quick high-level summary of what your company does and kind of the overall business model?
Yeah, for sure. So Delta 9 Cannabis, we're one of Canada's older cannabis companies, dating back to 2013 as a licensed medical cultivator. 2017 became the real expansion year for us, leading into legalization here in Canada. Raised about $10 million throughout the year privately. Listed our shares on the Toronto Venture Exchange in November 2017. Since that time, we've raised close to $100 million through a mix of debt and equity to fund the expansion of our three main business segments. First segment is the Health Canada licensed cultivation, processing, and wholesale distribution business, primarily focused on cultivation of high-quality cannabis flower, but also manufacture Delta 9 branded cannabis pre-rolls, ingestible oils, vape cartridges. I call it the full suite of Delta 9 branded consumer packaged cannabis products, and then we distribute those across 6 provincial markets here in Canada. We're also a licensed retailer, currently operating 12 bricks and mortar retail stores, as well as participating in online direct-to-consumer sales across markets that allow for it. Expanding that chain, ultimately we envision dozens of Delta 9 branded cannabis retail stores and giving us call it that vertically integrated focus on the Canadian cannabis market into the retail segment. Final business segment for us is what we call our B2B segment. It's essentially the picks and shovels side of the industry. We sell our proprietary growing platform. We provide consulting and licensing services to other licensed and pre-licensed cannabis businesses. We sell cultivation equipment, and we sell cannabis genetics. So more of the, again, B2B and infrastructure kind of play on the cannabis space. Those three business segments give us a very diversified approach to the Canadian cannabis sector. Company shares now trade on the main board Toronto Stock Exchange under the symbol DN, and we trade over the counter in the United States on the OTCQX under the symbol DLTNF.
Great. Yeah, and we talked about the multiple business units in the last interview as well, and I think that really does separate you guys from some of the competitors. So next question, the exciting one here. Q2 numbers, earnings just came out this morning. Last time we had you on, we talked about some preliminary numbers. Everything was looking really good in my opinion, my perspective. So can you talk to us about that success and how those three business units or divisions really contributed to that overall growth and the numbers that we saw today?
Yeah, absolutely. So top line revenue for Q2 this year for our period ending June 30th was $16.75 million. That is a record quarter for top line for our business. That was up 29% year over year from about $13 million for the same period last year. Also up 27% sequentially from $13.2 million in the first quarter this year. So strong top line growth, both year over year and sequentially. and again, record top line results for the company. In terms of revenue segmentation, where did that revenue come from? 5.6 million of that came from our cannabis wholesale segment. So again, distributing Delta 9 branded products across our provincial markets. That's up from 4.3 million in the first quarter this year. So strong growth in Delta 9 product distribution for the second quarter this year. 10.4 million in retail. That was up from 9.7 million in the first quarter. So seeing continued momentum in our retail chain in terms of increased in-store foot traffic, et cetera, into the second quarter. B2B revenues were strong for us as well, 1.8 million versus just 186,000 in the first quarter this year. So you see strong quarter-over-quarter and sequential growth from all three of those business segments into the second quarter here.
Yeah, that's phenomenal, and that's really good to see. I paid attention to that in the report today. I would imagine conference call today. Speaking of conferences, what does Delta 9 have planned for upcoming events and conferences if the viewers want to interact with you guys in that way?
Yeah, so to your first point on the conference call, we did host a conference call for investors and analysts first thing this morning. I'll just note that there is a replay dial-in number or passcode for that. So any investors that were missing that, want to get on, hear the full commentary from management, would encourage you to take a look at the press release that came out earlier today, as it does have a replay possibility for that conference call.
Great.
In terms of conferences, both virtual and in person, we will be presenting at the SNN Cannabis Conference August 18th. So coming up later this week at 10 a.m. Central Time, we will be presenting at the SNN Conference. We will be live at the Benzinga Cannabis Conference October 13th, 14th in New York. So giving investors on the U.S. side of the border an opportunity to get a little bit more on the company in person. And we will be the following week at the MJ BizCon conference in Las Vegas, presenting in person as well. So giving investors some opportunity to actually see the company live for any folks joining us from south of the border.
Great. And I know we talked about this a little bit in the last interview as well, but curious to get an update on your expansion plans in the U.S. specifically and uplist to NASDAQ possibility or potential.
Yeah, for sure. So on the U.S. side, a lot of the company's focus more near-term from an operations standpoint is in our B2B segment. So as a TSX-listed company, we cannot undertake activities in the United States that are not federally legal. So effectively, that means we can't produce the cannabis products, we can't distribute them, we can't retail them. But one way we can participate in the U.S. market is through our B2B and infrastructure segment. So sales of grow pods then are the focus for Delta 9 into the U.S. market. We built out facilities in Michigan and Maine during 2020. We've now hired a dedicated U.S. sales force for the grow pods and live in-person conferences, and now starting essentially to give us the opportunity to expand the marketing efforts more significantly south of the border. We've seen a good amount of activity in the last 6 months around project development south of the border, looking at projects currently in Illinois and Montana, but obviously seeing development kind of across the U.S. as different states legalize for either recreational, medical purposes, or both. So near term, the focus and opportunity for us is on the B2B side of the business into the U.S., but of course, huge opportunity for Delta 9 in the wake of potential federal legalization to be getting down, bringing this vertically integrated, diversified business model to the largest market in the world. So I continue to feel that the U.S., longer term, will be a large opportunity for us. More to the capital market side of your question, I think U.S. An uplist does need to be in the company strategy moving forward. I think we see that cannabis issuers who are listed on a senior exchange, either the NASDAQ or the New York Stock Exchange, are typically seeing the largest exposure from investors. They're seeing the largest uptick in their stock when there begins to be momentum trading in the cannabis space. So certainly something for the company to consider into the future would be a senior exchange listing in the U.S. market.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more on both points there, John. And obviously there's a lot going on in the U.S. right now, so it's great that that's on the roadmap. In that same theme, talking about growth strategy, can you give us some details about the overall growth strategy over the next couple of years and specifically how each of the three business units plays into that strategy.
So on the cultivation wholesale side of the business, we're looking at continuous improvement and automation initiatives for our facilities here. It should allow us to increase our production output capacity from about 8,500 kilos a year that we're producing right now to between 12 and 15,000 kilos over the next year to 2 years. So there's a good opportunity for us to maximize the efficiency of our existing assets, continue to increase output without a large CapEx investment to continue to drive that growth. Pre-rolls automation is on the docket for the company. I think getting into the pre-rolls segment in a more meaningful way will be positive for the company as well. From there, it's product development oriented, ingestible oils, vape products, and concentrates. We will be launching or relaunching into the back part of this year. So looking to round out the product portfolio for Delta 9. Again, all of those initiatives really should round out our wholesale cannabis revenue as we look forward. On the retail side, continuing to add to our store count. We're at 12 operating stores, as I said, right now. Look to be at 18 to 20 operating stores by the end of this calendar year. And we're looking to accelerate the pace of M&A and consolidation on the retail side of the business. Huge opportunity for us to go out and roll up retail assets across the Canadian prairies. There's a large market opportunity, we feel, to roll up retail. On the B2B side, it will be that balanced strategy of just continuing to execute on projects that we have in the pipeline here in Canada and that expanded international focus. Again, huge opportunity in the U.S. market, but also opportunity across jurisdictions in international markets, as virtually every jurisdiction around the globe is considering some form of cannabis legalization, either medical, recreational, again, or both. So the GrowPod platform, it's a platform we can put into any jurisdiction around the world. I think huge opportunity for Delta 9 to take that GrowPod platform global through international market expansion.
For sure, yeah, and we talked a lot about the GrowPods in that initial deep dive I did on Delta 9, so I would encourage viewers to take a look at that video as well. John, very exciting time for the company, exciting time for the industry. We appreciate your time today. Congrats on a great quarter. Hopefully we can get you back in advance of Q3 there and talk a little bit more about how these strategies are playing out. But we really appreciate your time, and thanks so much for being here today.
Yes, thank you again for having me.
Thanks so much for watching, you guys, and have a great rest of your day.